Hello, today we're going to be going over how to create the automata cams. Now for those of you that are sitting in your normal seats, you should see all of your project files under the projects window. If you are not sitting in your normal seats, please go to projects, then browse. You're going to go to computer, and underneath there you should see home drive. As you can see, I don't have a home drive, but you guys should see that. And under your home drive, find your automata project icon. It should look like this. That is the project that should be checked, because that's where we want to save today. Once you have that, you want to look at your folder, the papers that were handed out to you. There should be 4 dimensioned drawings. You'll notice with the dimensions that they are actually recorded as equations instead of actual numerals. That's called parametric modeling. So the process is going to be similar to how we normally dimension, except for we're going to create a parameter to use as an equation. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make a new part. Another thing that I'm going to ask you guys to do is customize your interface up top here. So the down arrow at the end of the toolbar, we're going to make sure a couple of things are selected. And you notice I also took off a couple of things. So the only things that I'm leaving on here are sketch, create, modify, work features, pattern, parameters, and measure. All the other things on there are really not necessarily needed. If you'd like to look at them, you may, but it just takes up space. So the first thing we want to do is to set our parameter. So you're going to select parameter from the menu, and we're going to create a user parameter. Now this is going to be a numeric parameter, so we're going to add numeric, and I'm going to type in DIA to stand for diameter. Now on your dimension drawings it says D, but when I selected D before, it didn't length using that, so I had to add a few extra letters, so I used diameter. Once we've selected that, you're going to put a value in for diameter, any number from 1.5 to 3 in half-inch increments. So I'm going to put in 2, and then I'm going to hit done. Now the example that I'm going to demonstrate is going to be the Snail Cam. That is one of the more challenging cams to make, and the first thing, just like with anything, we're going to start with a new sketch. I'm going to draw on the XY plane, and all of our cams have the same axis hole, so you want to make a 3/16 inch circle around the origin. So I'm going to type in 3 divided by 16. Remember, Inventor can do math, and I'm going to hit enter. You'll notice it changes to a decimal, 1.88, and that is perfectly okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a construction circle. So the construction icon is right next to image, to its right. I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to make another circle. I'm not worried about the size of it because I'm going to wait for dimensioning until the end. So if I didn't remember to make this construction, you'll notice I can select construction at any point. So it's just this icon here, so if I need to change it, I just select what I'm changing, click the construction icon, and you'll notice it's construction if it is dotted. I'm going to turn my construction icon off now, and I'm going to make a third circle. So I have 3 concentric circles. So middle one is dimensioned, or sorry, the very center one, smallest one, is dimensioned. The second circle is a construction, and the third circle is not. Once I have my 3 circles, I'm going to make a line from the top of the outside circle to the top of the construction circle. I want to make sure that is vertically aligned. I noticed in some other classes people were having trouble with this, so I'm going to choose my vertical alignment. I'm going to select the bottom point of my line and my center point. You'll notice now my line changed colors, meaning that it is constrained. I'm then going to select arc. I'm going to start at the bottom point of my line, the very bottom of my large circle, and then I'm just going to move my arc out. Now, I'm also going to use my vertical, and I want to find the bottom point, so it should be right here at the very bottom, and I'm going to align that vertically with my center point. If you get this, then that's okay. We'll just cancel out of that. And I also want to make this arc tangent to my large outside arc. You should see the little tangent there. If it was already made tangent in the previous step when you made this arc, that's okay. My final thing I'm going to do before I dimension is I'm going to trim, that's in my modified tools, or the letter X, and I'm going to trim this outside part of my arc. So now it should look like a snail's shell. Now I have my shape, I need to add my dimensions. Keep in mind that we made parameters. If you want to double check the parameters, you can go back to the 3D model and parameters, or right click on your toolbar, show panel, select parameter, and you'll notice here I have 2 dimensions. So I'm going to dimension now select my dimension tool, or D from your keyboard, the bottom of the line, so the bottom point, and the center point. Going to move that out. You'll notice it says designation edit dimension D1. Sometimes I can also use these to reference, so I can actually reference other dimensions, but in this case I'm going to be typing 1/2, or excuse me, 1/4, so 1/4 or 0.25 times, and since it says D on my dimension drawings and I'm using DIA to stand in for that, 0.25 times DIA. If my equation is still red, then that means I have an error. It is case sensitive and spelling sensitive, so if you transposed some letters or had some capitals in there, make sure to type it exactly as you put it in when you made your parameter. Okay, so now I have that height, and then I'm going to dimension my large arc, and this one is going to be 1/2 or 0.5 times diameter. So now I have my snail. You'll notice that all my colors have changed, and it says down at the bottom it is fully constrained. So now I can extrude this. I need to select which part I'm extruding, which is my main part of the body. Need to click in there. And all of the cams are going to be extruded to 1/8 of an inch, or 0.125. And that is your Snail Cam. Save this in your Automata folder as Snail Cam.